An old neighbor of mine kept this exact recipe in a jar on her kitchen shelf, long before anyone bottled it for $59. Before we go further, I'm a gardener, not a doctor. These drinks are food, not medicine. Always check with your physician before adding anything new, especially if you take prescription medication. Independent lab tests show nearly a third of supplements on the market contain a tiny fraction of what's printed on the label. You may be paying for fillers. By the end of this video, you'll know 5 drinks to make this week, exact recipe for each, under 5 minutes, under 50 cents, and which 3 grow in one backyard pot. I'm not just going to say, these are good for you. I'll show you the exact enzyme name each drink targets, the same pathway a $59 supplement claims to fix. Here's the question we'll answer by the end. Which of these 5 costs less than a cup of coffee, but may target the exact same anti-inflammatory pathway as that $59 premium bottle? At minute 4, I'll show you the enzyme that explains why one drink may support a healthy inflammation response, without the stomach irritation linked to some over-the-counter options. 5 drinks, 5 enzymes your body recognizes. 1 pot on your windowsill grows 3 of them. And the 3rd drink? Most people pull it out of their garden as a weed. About 10 minutes. Let's go. The global supplement market is worth over $100 billion, and a lot of that money flows toward products with a serious problem. Open a standard capsule. You'll often find the active ingredient buried under silicon dioxide and magnesium stearate, industrial flow agents. You may be paying $40 for a capsule that's mostly filler. Here's the thing. Independent testing has found that roughly 30% of supplements on major retail platforms contain only a tiny fraction of the active ingredient listed on the label. That practice is called fairy dusting, adding just enough of a compound to print its name on the bottle. And here's why this keeps happening. In the United States, supplements are not required to prove efficacy before reaching store shelves. That gap is where the problem lives. But here's what no one talks about. 3,000 years ago, your ancestors were not guessing. They were precision targeting the exact same biological pathways, without a microscope, without a lab, without a $59 price tag. The ancient world wasn't practicing folk medicine. They were doing molecular biology. They just didn't have the language for it yet. And the first drink on our list? It may inhibit the exact same enzyme pathway as that $59 premium supplement. Here's the lazy gardener's way to think about it. Imagine inflammation in your joints like a rusty valve dripping fluid. Most approaches mop the floor. Frankincense water may act like a wrench, tightening that valve at the source. What's the actual science? Frankincense resin contains a compound called 11-keto-beta-boswellic acid. Researchers have studied it for its effect on an enzyme called 5-LOX, a key driver of the inflammatory response. The supplement industry sells Boswellia extracts targeting that same pathway. Thorne Boswellia phytosome runs about $59 a bottle. Frankincense water at home, about 40 cents per serving. Raw honey contains an enzyme called glucose oxidase. Dilute raw honey in warm water, below 104 degrees, and that enzyme may slowly release hydrogen peroxide. Research has examined this mechanism for antimicrobial activity, including against antibiotic-resistant strains. It must be raw. Heating it above 104 degrees will destroy the enzyme. Don't waste your good honey. Here's where pomegranates get interesting. Think of your aging cells as cars with worn-out engines. Pomegranates contain compounds called punicalagins, polyphenols too big for your body to absorb directly. But your gut bacteria turn them into a smaller compound called urolithin A, like a recycling crew that may help your cells swap out tired engine parts. Research published in Frontiers in Pharmacology has studied urolithin A for this cellular cleanup role. Per FDA documentation of pomegranate extracts, whole fruit pomegranate contains over 50% total polyphenols. Punicalagins are the most abundant, and research-grade juice can reach up to 2 grams per liter. Hyssop is the most underrated of the 5, and probably the one you'd pull out of your garden as a weed. Here's the analogy. When you fight a virus or allergy flare-up, your immune system can crank the inflammation thermostat too high. Hyssop tea may help dial that thermostat back to a safer level, without switching the immune response off. What's doing it? Compounds including pinocamphone and flavonoids that researchers have studied for immune modulation. A 2022 study found hyssop extracts may interact with toll-like receptors, TLR3, 7, 8, and 9, part of your innate immune signaling. Listen carefully. Do not use hyssop essential oil for this tea. The oil is highly concentrated, and it is not safe to ingest at those levels. If you have a history of seizures or are pregnant, skip this drink entirely. The full contraindication list is on screen in the HOW section. Ginger is the lazy gardener's secret weapon. Here's the analogy. Most over-the-counter pain relievers are like a traffic cop pulling over every car, including the ambulance. They block both COX-1, which protects your stomach lining, and COX-2, which drives pain. Ginger may be a smarter traffic cop. Research suggests it leans toward COX-2 while leaving COX-1 alone. That's why ginger has a long traditional safety record where strong, over-the-counter pain relievers can cause stomach issues. The active compounds, 10 gingerol and 8 shagail, were examined in a 2011 study published in Phytotherapia. The supplement equivalent? Super pure ginger extract, about $40 a bottle. This brew? 20 cents per serving. Let's put this all together. 5 supplements targeting these same pathways. Thorne Boswellia at $59, Comvita Manuka at $57, Nature's Craft Pomegranate at $37, Herb Farm Hyssop at $25, Super Pure Ginger at $40. That's over $200 per month. The 5 DIY versions from your kitchen, $1.55 total. 3,000 years of observation, now supported by 5 peer-reviewed studies. But knowing what they are is only half the equation. You need to know exactly how to make them without destroying the active compounds. Quick note, if this is helping you, hit subscribe. I share one new lazy gardener secret every week. Grow smarter, not harder. Now back to it. Raw honey. 1 tablespoon of raw honey must be raw, not processed, stirred into 8 ounces of warm water. Keep the water below 104 degrees Fahrenheit. That's it. About 30 cents per serving. Proverbs 24:13. Frankincense water. 1 teaspoon, about 2 to 3 grams, of food-grade Hajari frankincense resin added to 1 quart of boiling water. Let it steep overnight. Strain and drink in the morning. You can reuse the same resin 2 to 3 times. About 40 cents per serving. Pomegranate. 1/2 cup of fresh arils, the seeds pressed or blended for 10 seconds, then strained. 50 cents. Hyssop tea. 1 teaspoon of dried hyssop leaf and flour in 8 ounces of just boiled water. Cover it. This keeps the volatile oils in. Steep 10 minutes, then strain. 15 cents. Ginger and honey brew. 1 inch of fresh ginger, sliced thin, steeped in 8 ounces of boiling water for 5 to 10 minutes. Let it cool to warm, then add the teaspoon of honey. Not while it's boiling. Same reason as the plain honey drink. Heat above 104 degrees may deactivate the glucose oxidase. About 20 cents per serving. 3 mistakes that ruin these drinks. 1. Pouring boiling water on raw honey. Heat above 104 degrees can deactivate the glucose oxidase enzyme. 2. Using hyssop essential oil instead of dried leaf tea. Oil is too concentrated and not safe to ingest. 3. Drinking pomegranate juice if you're on statins or blood pressure medication without checking with your doctor first. Pomegranate inhibits the same liver enzyme as grapefruit. 1 quick safety note for fellow pet owners and grandparents. Dwarf pomegranates are generally fine around dogs and cats. But hyssop contains volatile oils that can be harmful if your pet ingests a large amount of leaves. Keep the hyssop pot up on a high shelf, out of reach of curious paws and curious grandkids. 3 of these 5 ingredients grow in containers. Hyssop, a 1-gallon pot on a windowsill. It's a perennial. 1 planting covers you for years. Ginger, a pot at least 15 inches wide, partial shade. Baby ginger ready in 4 to 6 months. Dwarf pomegranate, the Nana variety, in a large planter in full sun. Fruits appear in year 2 or 3. 1 pot, 3 plants. 3 of your 5 drinks for years. Now, safety. These drinks are generally considered safe for most healthy adults at these serving sizes. But 3 important notes. Hyssop. Avoid if you have a history of seizures or if you are pregnant. Ginger. If you're currently taking warfarin, aspirin, Plavix, or calcium channel blockers, check with your doctor first. Ginger may affect platelet activity. Pomegranate. It inhibits the same liver enzyme as grapefruit, called CYP3A4. If you're on statins or blood pressure medication, check with your doctor before adding it regularly. Total cost for all 5? $1.55. 1 pot, some patience, and 3 of them grow themselves year after year. So, which one should you make first? Here's my honest pick. Your ancestors were not guessing. They were precision targeting biological pathways that modern science has now confirmed in peer-reviewed journals. The supplement industry charges $30 to $60 for what you can make in your kitchen for less than 50 cents. 3 of these 5 ingredients grow in a single pot on your windowsill, year after year. And here's the answer to the question I asked at the start. Frankincense water. 40 cents per serving. The same 5 LOX anti-inflammatory pathway as that $59 bottle. That's your answer. Drop a comment below. Are you team raw honey or team frankincense water? My pick is frankincense water. Easiest to make, cheapest, and the research behind it is some of the strongest. Make one this week, and don't be surprised when a neighbor asks why you stopped complaining about stiff mornings. You can either tell them the science or just smile. 1 pot, One kitchen, one step closer to the self-reliance our grandparents already had. Happy gardening!